Go get him.
I can't.
Yeah, you can.
I have to put my legs.
You're over here making dirt angels. It's kind of like a snow angel, only in the dirt. Okay, get up. You're gonna get all nasty. Alright, so here you can see we've got the edge of the board. Nothing special, haven't done anything special to it. And I just dip the tip of my brush, don't need to have it soaking in the glue. And the trick with edge gluing is you want to get enough glue, but not so much that it's going to bleed out everywhere. Because if you get a lot of bleed out, you're going to glue stain the surface of your board. And you really don't want that. So what you really just want is you want a layer to go down the board. You got to use enough glue, not too much, not too little. And as you're going, kind of go back over the glue you were on, just to kind of work it and make sure it doesn't start setting and drying. But you just keep going down. Get a nice noticeable layer all the way down. Take your other board and do the same, and you gotta work with a little bit of urgency. You don't have to like have it done in 2 seconds, but you do have a somewhat limited time. And the reason you do a thin layer on both is it lets it start to work into the grain of the wood on each of them without you having to pile on a ton of glue. Just kind of any spill you have, just kind of wipe off as fast as you can. If you go over the edge, which I am doing, holding the camera at the same time, but get your layer going real good. And then after you get both of them with a nice layer on there, I'm going to sit you down for a second, or drop you, either way. You'll take them, get the edges nice and flush, as close as you can, then you'll just kind of slide them together. They're already a little tacky, so they are sticking, and they're going to stick fairly quickly, so I gotta hurry up and get clamps on there, so I'll come back to you when I get that done. Alright, well, I've got them clamped up now. I flushed them out as I was clamping. I put this clamp on, then adjusted it slightly to where they were flush. Same thing here, but then after I got that one done, I went to this clamp, got it flush here, went to this clamp, got it flushed here. You can see there is a little bit of squeeze out. That's fine. We're going to leave that there. You don't want to rub it into the surface that you want to have as your final surface. What we'll do is after it dries, I'll run a sharp chisel along that line, and it will cut the squeeze out at the surface of the wood, and then it won't have the chance to really bleed out everywhere. And that'll give you a nicer finished look. And we'll let that dry and sit for a few hours. And then after this is done, we'll move on, and I will add the next piece of poplar here. And after I get the main table structure done, or the main tabletop structure done, should I say, we'll go ahead and we'll start taking these little pieces, cutting them to the lengths that we want, putting in the miters, doing some test fits, and then this will get ebonized, and I'll explain ebonizing to you then. And I'll go over making the solution for ebonizing, working with it, ways you can increase the effect of ebonizing. I'll go over the whole ebonizing process with you. Just make sure that if you decide to do it, you'll have all the information you'll need to actually perform the task. So after we get the last piece on, I'll clean this up a little bit, start measuring and cutting for these. After I get these measured out, cut, and a little test fit done, then I will do the same for this. I will start measuring and cutting for this. So I'll be building it in progressions. I'm not going to start cutting this until this is all in place and glued. Another thing that could have been done, and I have done it before, is you can dowel this. You can add additional pieces to the seam. It's not really necessary. If you look at really old furniture, they're done pretty much exactly like this. There are 100-year-old pieces that don't have anything in the middle, in between the two pieces of board. They're just face glued together like this. And glue holds really well on oak as well because it is an open pore wood. The glue will soak right into it and just bleed right into the pores of the wood and really grab hold of the fibers. The glue is actually stronger than the wood in a lot of cases. So you don't have to worry too much about the wood splitting at the seam unless you've got a lot of weird humidity and a lot of weird temperature changes happening in the wood. You really don't have to worry about it. Like if you go through and it drops from 0 degrees, I guess freezing or whatever, if it goes from freezing to 100 degrees during the day, and that's a regular thing for you. I'm not quite sure where you live, and I don't want to live there. But then you might have to worry about this giving loose, especially with humidity changes and everything else. But, unless you have weird extremes like that, it's not really something you're going to have to worry about. The glue will be quite strong and hold for many, many years. Alright, well, I've got it all glued up and clamped, and I've went ahead and did the second table set. So these will sit here and dry, and I'll come back to you when they're set, and we will add on the next piece of poplar and go from there. Alright, see you then. Alright, I went ahead and added the extra piece of poplar on. I didn't wait for y'all to see it. I just went ahead and did it. I did it the exact same way I joined the first two pieces of wood. This one turned out great. The corners are all nice and flush, just how I want, nice and square corners on both sides. This one turned out great. I couldn't ask for it to have turned out any better. The other one, I was a little lazy with the cuts for the second set, and they didn't quite turn out as square as I wanted. It's not horrible, but not great. You can see there's a line. That's a curl up of the thing, and you can see I started chipping off some of the wood, and I'll show you how I'm doing that. and over here you see another line. It wavered quite a bit on this side. And we'll get this all. I'll get this all straightened out, and I will show you how to do it if you have something like this yourself. A lot of people will say, well, you should have cut your boards longer before you join them. Yes, if you are that concerned about the exact length of your finished piece, yes, you should have. And I should have if I was that concerned about it. I'm not. I kind of like it when things aren't exactly how they were planned. This is going to change the final shape of the finished piece by probably 1/8 of an inch at most. I don't care about 1/8 of an inch. The human eye really can't tell if it's 1/8 of an inch short on that much of a distance. And I really enjoy things being a little bit different than each other. That's why I do handmade woodworking instead of using a bunch of machinery. But I will go ahead and I will get the tools and I will show you how I clean off those edges and how I finish the edges before moving on to starting the next piece of wood.